DIY.
And what I'm recognizing is that with direct to consumer, social media is your
Everything.
the everything. It's the biggest way that you're funneling in people who are like, I never would have gone to your website to listen to your music because I don't know who you are, first of all. But because of this 1 minute experience, because of this, this 30-second clip that you put up, I am now interested in seeing what products you have, including your music on your website. I post it every day, sometimes every other day on Instagram and on even another YouTube. That's not as many subscribers. But as I did that, I started to see sales every single day. I feel more confident in that I have a strategic and a specific plan. I'm not just posting into the abyss. What advice would you have for two different type of artists? One, the one that says, well, I'm not a hey, look at me type of person. And then two, for the artist that is like, well, I'm open to it. I don't know how to operate it in a way that, speaks natively to these platforms and be myself.
Yeah, so one, no one's ever asking anybody to be like, hey, look at me. I got music. You want to listen to it? First off, no one does that. You know what I mean? Like, you still have to be the artist that you are. You still have to show in different ways what your art is, right? So when we're looking at it from a social media standpoint, it's all about hype. That's all it really is. When we're talking about my music is my music. That's the product. Everything else on social media is, how do I bring attention? How do I package this up to get people to the product? So now I'm looking at this song. I'm like, okay, what parts are definite clips that are going to go well if somebody hears this? That they'd be like, ooh. What's the first thing that's going to make them go, ooh, what's that? Whether it's just the instrumental, whether it's a few bars, whatever it is, ooh, that's what you put out, right? Then some type of visuals with the music in the background. Doesn't have to be you. None of this that I'm saying has to be you. The music can be the extrovert. You can stay the introvert.
Oh, good.
You feel me?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me.
Somebody gonna have to tell us.
I had to make that. Oh, that's good. You can be the introvert. The music becomes the extrovert and the representative that brings people into your universe. That is. Woof.
No one's saying get in front of a camera and forever perform and then show that and post that everywhere. No one's saying that, right? It's how do you articulate what you're doing in multiple ways? How do you make it into 30 seconds? How do you make it into 60 seconds? How do you make it into 90 seconds? Because this will cover reels, this will cover TikToks, this will cover shorts. Okay? How can I then make it into a carousel, right? Where I'm taking a picture, I'm taking a video, I'm taking another picture, and then maybe I'll put some words into it. It's all about, how do I milk this one thing or this one project and bring traffic constantly? If we're not on the top of mind of people are going to forget.
Easily. Because there's so much content that especially if you're following someone who's much of a beast at content as you are, look, anybody who thinks you win competition, I feel bad because there's days where I literally, let me tell you, I don't have to put no extras on this when I tell you this, Nikki. There are days where I'm like, I don't feel like getting my ass up and making these little vertical videos. I don't feel like color grading. I don't feel like doing the captions. And then I go to your page and you've showed me a completely new format. Like I try to format out because it's almost like your Instagram specifically. I want to keep talking about that. It's almost like a template. It's like a numerous amounts of templates that you're offering your audience to try out for themselves as they're starting to do their content creation. You did one where it was literally just the iPhone and you were like walking along your trail and then you were talking in the voiceover and it just had the captions up. And I'm like, but how did you make this look so fire? I'm like, how many times have I sat here and I'm like, I can't make no content right now. I'm in the doctor's office. And now my brain is like, I'm in the doctor's office. I can only make this content right now. But I credit that to you because of the way that you approach, I guess what I'm leading to is how do you define what's content worthy? And also the bigger question that a lot of artists have is, well, I'm so concerned about quality over quantity. Like, what is quality content, I guess, to you?
How do you know what's quality if you've never put anything out?
Fair. It's a good question.
This is like, and once again, going into the comparison game, we're looking at other people and we're saying, yo, that's perfect. That's what content is. And it's like, it worked for them. There's no blueprint, regardless. And we're a fan of different courses and different outlines and things like that. There's nothing that step by step is going to be like, this is the perfect one for me, perfect one for them. And it's going to get you to a certain extent. Then it's up to you, right?
Fact.
So you have to figure out, one, what works for you, and then what works for your audience. But first, what works for you, right? Because if you're not comfortable with your own content, you're not going to be consistent.
Facts.
You're only going to work for people, and then that's exhausting. And that's where burnout comes out.
Right.
And burnout is heavier in these past 2 years than anything.
Put my
Absolutely
hand up.
anything.
Put my hand up, because I for sure am learning my way around it. For someone who's still building their audience, which a lot of artists are, a lot of producers are on social media, how do you measure what works, I guess, when your numbers are not necessarily like astronomical? Are we looking at this on a very like smaller scale where it's like, well, this one had 25 views as opposed to 3 to 5, or like, are we using views as a metric? Like, how many different metrics are you kind of using to quantify how well a piece of content did?
I'll say figure out what is your viral so far, and then figure out your average numbers. In our own respective worlds, we've gone viral, right? Whether our viral is 1,000 views, whether our viral is 100 or 500 views, or whether it's 500 million, it don't matter, because all we are really is a competitor to ourselves. Nothing really else. Right. When it comes to content, because all we're doing is we're saying, yo, this sucks. To who? To ourselves. So now I'm creating against what I just created yesterday. You feel what I'm saying? So if I know my average numbers, meaning I know my average views, I know my average likes, I know my average comments. If I'm talking about, let's say, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I know my average shares. I know these things. This is my viral number. What is it in between that will be a realistic milestone? Like a realistic. I know for sure I can't get the viral number on a regular if my average is this.
Right.
So if my viral, let's say, is I had a video like that hit 200K. Let's just say that.
Okay.
200K. My average may be 5K. Am I going to say my goal is to hit 200K every post? Absolutely not. How can I get 10 to 20? How can I get 50?
That's good.
How can you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
These are different milestones that I'm growing to. Then now that I get 20K and then my new viral is 500K, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I think
Cool.
going with that approach is so dope, because it helps to calm the hater inside. I call it the hater inside your brain that's talking you out of all of these opportunities. Where I've definitely had that hater in my mind where it's like, I'll watch a person do content and say they have a new song and they're doing 4 different versions of the same verse. And for me, I know it's a generational thing, but I'm like, we've already worn these clothes. We're wearing these clothes 4 days in a row, even if they're different looks. It's like, now we're wearing the shirt as a bandana. Like, what are we doing? So there's a part of me that's like, but people are going to get tired. And then I start to think, well, the people that get tired were eventually going to get tired. We just sped the process up. And I learned that from Grant Cardone talking about the 10X rule. And he was saying that he was sending out emails from his company at one point in time, and it was so much, people started complaining. And instead of slowing it down, he told his assistants and his workers,
Ramped it up.
he said, ramp it up. Let's get them off the email list then. They're not the people that's going to buy anyway. So there is that part of us that psych ourselves out in our brain. And even when we do good.
It's the creator.
It's the creator in general,
we don't
right?
like routines. You feel me? Like, we don't like routines. So if we have to do something, and we know it's successful, like, we know this is going to work.
Right.
But I don't feel like it anymore. There has to be something else that works.
Right.
Like, okay, cool, but I'm an innovator. Like, I'm going to create the next thing. And it's like, no, go back. Go back. So
reinventing the wheel again. Yeah.
Right. If we break down why certain songs on TikTok works, is because one artist or one producer will play that 17 million times, do 17 different posts that people will finally catch on and do their own videos on it.
So would you argue in that scenario that you're giving that as you're performing and doing your content, you're almost introducing a way of how to use your music for your potential audience?
Yeah, like what I loved, let's say, in the early days of Meek. Meek did what is known now as the formula, where everything, he was driving in his car, he was in the studio, he was in his crib, he would play his music. Regular day stuff. You in the car, you're gonna turn on my song. You in the crib, you're gonna turn on my song. So let me show you how I'm living, because you're already looking at me.
Right.
So when you see me do it, you're gonna envision yourself doing the same exact thing. You feel what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. If I have a song, when I'm working, you're gonna hear it. When I'm writing, you're gonna hear it. When I'm outside walking, you're gonna hear it. I mean, it's just showing different situations that people are almost like, I feel like I've heard this before. Let me turn it back on.
Well,
In the same environment,
Right.
let me turn it on.
What is what Nike does? Nike could sell you a shoe, and we know what the quality of it if you're a Nike fan or whatnot. But Nike shows you athletes doing athletic things inside of their shoe. And when you look at the commercials, they're never like direct selling. It's never like, get these Nikes now for
This is the
$2.99.
next Jordan. Get the new Jordan.
Get the new.
No,
they
no
don't.
one says that.
They show you the lifestyle. They show you the representation of what context this has in your day-to-day life, what kind of people associate with it. They even will bring in like spoken word artists that are speaking to the mindset of the type of demographic they're trying to reach, as opposed to some folks only. I don't know where artists get this from, or creatives. They only know direct sales when you talk about sales. And I feel like that's why it's so icky. They only know slimy, door-to-door, hey,
Listen
man.
to my song right now on Apple.
On
And
Apple.
nobody-
Like, when did you turn into this 1950s marketer? You're not even a up-to-date marketer. Where did that come from?
DIY.
DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.